Hello everyone, and welcome to Dark Plays Morrowind. We're gonna head and start up a new game here. This game is amazing if you've never played it. It's from Bethesda, the same company that made, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, Oblivion. All really good titles, and of course that recent one which shall not be named. And this game had an amazing amount of features that I wish they would have kept in the later games. They would be a lot better. Not that they're bad, but they'd certainly be better with it.
Imperial City's prison. First by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
Yeah, some of the really cool features that this game would have would be, the ability to teleport around with magic. And,
Stand up. There you go.
Levitation magic, which basically lets you fly.
What's your name?
Sadly, they didn't keep the climbing mechanics from Daggerfall. I'll probably do a playthrough of Daggerfall at some point. Well, might not be a playthrough, but at least be a let's play. I'm thinking I'm going to be doing a, I might try and do some kind of spell sword combination for this character's class.
Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
Jube, that character actually makes an appearance in Skyrim in the, is it the Dragonborn DLC?
Come with me.
One quick second, I forgot to turn off my recording preview, which is probably going to eat into the quality a bit, so expect a stutter. It's going to take a little bit longer because my mouse doesn't want to pop up. There we go. Alright, that should be better.
Get yourself up on deck and let's keep this as simple.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and I'll show you to the census office.
Alright.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
I think I'm gonna, I'm probably gonna stick with a dark elf. Just gonna change the face around a bit. I kinda like that one. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
So many good memories playing this game. I played the living crap out of it as a kid, and I never actually beat it until many years later. Partially because it was so hard, it didn't have level scaling like the later versions of the game, so you actually had to go out and try and level up to get strong enough to be able to handle the creatures you'd be fighting.
Yes, we've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
For this, we're just going to fill out the forms ourselves and create a custom class. Let's see, what should we name it? I'll just call it a spell sword. Okay. That works out alright. Yeah, that looks good. We're going to get rid of blunt weapons and go for long blade. We're going to keep heavy and medium armor. Definitely going to change this out. I'm going to change this to destruction, because destruction magic's going to be very useful later on. For the most part, the rest of that looks good. We're going to come over to here. Definitely want acrobatics. Where's athletics? Definitely want athletics. Don't want spear. You know what? I'll have restoration so I can cast some healing spells. Mercantile, speechcraft. Yeah, that all looks good, so we're going to go ahead and use this.
Very good. The letter that preceded you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Now, there's several of these options that are pretty useful. A lot of people like to use the tower because it has the daily power of opening locks that are 50 points or lower. It's definitely pretty useful. But I think I'm going to go with the steed, which is what I usually use just for the bonus speed. Because you
Interesting.
walk everywhere in this
Now,
game.
before
There
I
are no
stamp
horses
these
or anything
papers,
like
make
that.
sure this information is correct.
Yep, that all looks good.
Show your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
Gonna go ahead and take these. Okay. And now that we can access our... Stop with the pop-ups. Okay. Now that we can access our inventory, we're going to steal this. The limeware platter. If you notice, it has a value of 650. Now, the guard will get upset, but the main thing is we have to drop it on the ground before he makes his way over to talk to us. So we're going to press E, right-click, and drop it. And then he's going to walk over, chew us out. Says once we let go, we're not going to get away with stuff like this. And pick it back up, and he doesn't care anymore.
Continue through to the next building and talk to Celis Gravius.
That's a good way to get yourself just a little bit of money. It's not really cheating, as you could easily get that money through other means. Okay, and now what you want to do is steal everything that's worth money in here. Definitely all this silver, because we'll be able to trade that in for money. Grab the lockpick. Yeah, the candlestick there, you can actually equip that, and it works as light, like carrying a torch. But it's, we're probably just going to end up selling it, because most places in the game are lit up well enough that you don't need to, use that. Okay, gonna steal more of the silverware. Whoops, I didn't want to take that last thing, but oh well. If you pick up some junk, it's not a big deal. It normally doesn't weigh much, and you can just sell it. Okay, so now that we equipped it the lockpick, we're gonna use it like a sword, basically. If you notice it has a little red health bar down in there in the corner, that's because it actually has a durability that wears out over time. Okay, got an extra 30 gold. All of this stuff here is basically alchemy ingredients, but since it doesn't weigh much, we'll keep it. Probably not gonna dabble with alchemy at all, but we'll definitely take it to at least sell it. Because it doesn't weigh much. Okay, there's a bedroll there if you need to sleep to recover your health. Oh, take that bread. Okay, that's pretty much everything. Now, once you come out here, you want to come to this barrel over here, which has a very important item. The engraved ring of healing. That'll be very useful in the early game. Yes, I know. Okay, gonna come on in here. And talk to Celis Gravius. Gonna ask him about Morrowind, our duties, and he tells us that we need to go to Chaos Casadas. I'm probably butchering these names, but bear with me. Need to go through Balmora. He says you can take the Silt Strider. We're actually gonna walk there, just because it's a nice little journey. The Silt Striders are the form of fast travel, and we will make use of them quite a bit in this game, but not going to at the beginning, because it's just nice to walk places. The beautifully crafted game. All the paths are laid out nice and neat. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go talk to the trader here in Cedar Need, who is Ariel. We're going to barter with him, and we're going to give him all the crap that we don't want. Like the silverware, that book we picked up. Also, if you have multiple items, if you shift-click, it'll transfer it over without popping up that menu where it asks how much you want to give him. Okay, now that we have all that, let's take a look around at what he has. We might as well buy an iron longsword from him. Doesn't cost much. And it'll be tremendously useful. There's another sword that we can get around here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get the iron shield as well. Armor is very important in this game. Especially early on. It can be the difference from you getting killed in 2 hits and you taking almost no damage from the enemy. Let's go ahead and equip the sword, equip the shield, and we're good to go out and fight some stuff. So we'll go beat up some mud crabs. Proper mud crabs, not like the mud crabs in Skyrim, which look terrible. These things actually look like they might be a little bit of a threat to you. Now, I'm trying to grab all this fungus mostly because I know there's a Mage's Guild quest that we will want to do at some point that requires us to gather it. We might as well already have it. That'll make our life easier. Gonna head down over here and grab these. I'm noticing a little bit of stuttering in game. Hopefully too much of that isn't coming up on the recording software I'm using. I'm using OBS Classic, which tends to agree with most of these older games better than OBS Studios. Huh. That's a shame there's no mud crabs over here. There's one over there. We'll go beat him up. Stamina is a very important part of this game. So before you get into a fight, you want to make sure that your stamina's as full as possible. Unlike the other Elder Scrolls games, well, the later ones I should say, stamina potions are actually very useful, because if you get into a fight and you have low stamina, you won't be able to hit the enemy. You'll just keep missing every swing. And I believe they'll also have a higher chance of hitting you, as it negatively impacts your dodge and block abilities. So stamina is key for pretty much everything. I think it even affects your magic casting to some degree. I could be wrong on that, though. Okay. Come at me, mud crab. See there, we actually hit it. And now we're missing. If our stamina was all the way down, we'd miss pretty much every hit. We'd have to swing 30 or 40 times just to hit the thing. Until you get your blade skill up. In which case, once you get your blade skill up very high, you'll hit no matter what. But leveling up is very important in this game. Even though you can beat the game at level 1, you can't play through it the way it was meant to be played if you don't level up and try to increase your skills. Whereas in later games like Skyrim, which I hope to do a playthrough of at some point, you can play through the entire game at level 1. And some places it'll get a little difficult, but as long as you're keeping up decent gear, you should be able to make it all the way through the game. There we go. Alright, now we're going to head out. And there is a quest that I want to do here in Cedar Need before we head out to Balmora. Balmora will be the main city that we'll be at for a good portion of the game. At least the early game. Also, don't talk to people with your weapon out in this game, as they get upset at that.
Go ahead,
They do the same thing in Oblivion, although I don't think that the negative effect is permanent in Oblivion. I think it's just, you know, if you quit talking to them, put your sword away and talk to them again, it'll go back up. Okay, a couple mud crabs over here for us to level up our long blade skill with. That's another reason why I picked speed, is so while we're just walking instead of running, we can actually move at a somewhat decent speed. Take all and dispose of corpse. The importance of disposing of corpse is it actually lessens the your save file, which decreases the amount of time it takes to save and load games, because it's not having to remember all these corpses that litter the world. Okay, these little ant creatures, if I remember correctly, they're called scribs. Don't attack them, at least not at an early level. Mostly because, I mean, look, they're adorable, but you also don't want to attack them because they have an ability that can paralyze you for like a minute or 2 minutes straight. And they'll just slowly chew your health down, even if you're fairly tough. So you definitely want to be higher level where you have a lot more health and armor, so they basically don't do any damage, and then you can kill them pretty easily. If they don't land that paralyzing attack, you can still kill them pretty easily, but that's a big if. They killed me quite a bit when I was new to the game, because I try and fight them to level up. Okay. So Proceus Vitellius. Gonna go ahead and take all that gold. Tax record. He also has better clothes than us, so we're gonna steal those. Now this is something that I wish that they would have kept in the later games, is where when you put clothes on a dead body, it actually puts the clothes on the dead body instead of just in its inventory. It's nice not to have a bunch of naked corpses laying around. Okay, and with, if you're familiar with Oblivion, you'll know quite a bit about the athletics and acrobatic skills, which affect your running speed and your jumping height. And both of which are very important in this game. More so the acrobatics, because there are certain quests and dungeons that you just can't get through without a high enough acrobatic skill, because you won't be able to jump high enough to make it to the ledges that you're trying to go through. Which is something that the later games don't do, that I miss quite a bit, because it also leads to some interesting areas that you can get into that have loot that you wouldn't initially think to get into. It gives you a bit more of a reason to kind of explore around, you know? Like, just for instance, finding that body over there that had the money and the tax records on it, that leads to doing a quest. If you weren't exploring around, you'd have no idea that was there. And same with a random event. Well, it's not really random, it's a planned event, but it's going to happen right up here. That's probably one of the funniest events in the game. Oh look, a book. So this guy has a pretty interesting story behind him. Definitely take those shoes. You want to wear expensive clothing because it changes how people perceive you in the world. If you're wearing nice clothes, they'll like you a lot more because they'll think you're rich. I'm gonna go ahead and dispose of his corpse there. If you read through the book, you can tell that he's researching a scroll that lets you jump very high. And you know what? In fact, why don't I just show you guys this this scroll? This one right here, the Scroll of Icarian Flight. I'm going to go ahead and save real quick. I'm going to go ahead and save over that one, because I'm not playing that anymore. I had to double check I was saving and not loading. That always screws you up. But now that we've saved, let's go ahead and get the Scroll of Icarian Flight. Now, if we're sprinting while... Hold on. You cast it, sprint forward, and jump. You will die when you land if you don't land in the water, but that's okay. If you look down at the little mini-map down in the corner, you can tell we're moving very quickly. Now what you can do... whoops. is you can use another one of the scrolls to boost your acrobatics back up to 1,000. Which is what it does. There is no limit on what your skills can be, so you can get, you know, basically an acrobatic skill to a level where you jump through the air like Superman. And if you use it again, then you won't take damage when you land, but you only have 3 scrolls, which means you can really only do that once using 2 scrolls in that. Unless you can find some way to land in water. I used to use that to try and get to the city of Vivek quickly in the early game, because it's surrounded by water, so it's usually pretty easy to get there. Gonna go ahead and heal up with the Ring of Engraved Healing. If I could speak, that would be wonderful. And you can only cast it a few times, but early on in the game, it's a nice little way to raise your health back up. Now, you can still sprint when you're sprint and jump while your stamina's all the way down. So if you know you're not going to get attacked, don't worry about letting your stamina down, like running around inside towns and cities where the guards will protect you.
Can we hurry?
But when you're out in the wilderness, you definitely want to keep a good half of your stamina bar as a buffer, just in case.
If I can help.
So we're going to head back in and talk to the guy that we talked to fill out our classes. And we're going to tell him about the dead tax collector. Now, you can just keep the 200 gold that you got from that guy. But it's much better if you tell this guy about the murder. Give him the 200 septims back. And he'll tell you to go and find the killer and bring them to justice. Now, since the guy was a tax collector, I think it's pretty fair to assume that somebody who owed taxes was probably the person who killed them. So, let's see. Oren Gilnith. That's the person who owes the most that has not paid. So it'd probably be a good idea to start with him, as he would have the most reason to kill a tax collector. I'm gonna go ahead and walk most of the way over to where he lives. I know exactly where he lives, but you can tell, you know, who owns what house just by walking up to the door and reading on it, because it'll tell you who owns it. But this is always one of the first quests I do in the game, because it sets you up with a good amount of money. As you can see, Indril Rathiron's shack. This one over here is Foreign Gilnith's shack. You can go on in. I'm just going to stand here for a second and let my stamina get up while I open a soda.
Speak, traveler.
There we go. Now, this guy's not really that tough, but if you don't have a good sword or a shield, if you're just trying to fight him with the dagger you start off with, he might be able to kill you. I'm going to talk to you about the murder of Prasius Vitellius. So he admits that he kills the bastard, and left his body out to rot. Sorry, but that is no excuse for murderer, and your punishment has been decided. Now, this is something I wish Mountain Blade... I'll probably be doing some videos on that game, because it's a really fun game. But when you talk to somebody, and it leads to them fighting you, it takes them like 2 or 3 minutes for them to pull out their weapon and act aggressive, so... It's just a little awkward. I want you to see how quickly he goes from just standing there to attacking me after the conversation is over.
Die, Fisher!
See, that was pretty quick. Okay, hopefully that didn't pop up on the audio recording, but my timer just went off, so we're at 22 minutes in. Come on now. Okay. So we're going to loot this building, and then I'll probably call that the end of the first episode here. Oh yes, Prasius Vitellius' ring. Interesting. And nothing else we want. Go ahead and take a quick look around. Ooh, that's a good book. We're going to take that. Going to take that gold, and there really isn't anything else here that we are going to benefit from getting. So now all we have to do is run back and talk to, shoot, I forgot his name. Anyways, the guy that we talked to get the quest in the first place, and he'll pay us for eliminating that guy. One thing, the PC version of this does a lot better than the console version. There are many things of that, but the loading times on the original Xbox, my god, this game took forever to load. But it was something you gladly put up with because it was such a great game. Okay, we got 500 gold.
What's this regarding?
So now if I take a look at our inventory, we have 900 gold. That's a really good start. So we can buy some armor if we want to, and a bunch of other things, which is really nice. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the episode here. Thanks for watching. Hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be picking up the next episode. I'll be recording it right after this, and we will be heading on our way to Balmora.